The night was silent on the forgotten alien world. The sky burned red, and dust storms danced like ghosts over broken rocks. A lone human explorer named Ethan Cole walked through the ruins of a once great alien city, his helmet light cutting through the smoky air. His scanner beeped weakly, a faint life signal ahead. He followed it through a narrow path, broken statues of alien warriors standing like silent watchers. Suddenly he heard a weak sound, a groan, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. Ethan ran forward and froze. Lying near a shattered crystal pillar was a massive alien soldier, his body covered in silver armor now cracked and bleeding with strange blue light. Beside him knelt two alien women, their skin pale gold, their eyes glowing softly in the dark. They looked terrified, holding the wounded soldier's hands as if trying to keep him alive. Ethan rushed closer, kneeling beside the dying alien. The soldier's breathing was rough, every breath sounding like pain itself. When he turned his head, Ethan saw wisdom and exhaustion in his eyes that had seen many battles. "Human," the alien whispered, his deep voice trembling. "You came just in time." Ethan leaned closer, lowering his scanner. "Don't talk, I'll help you. I have med supplies on my ship." The alien raised a shaking hand, stopping him. "No use. My body, already fading." His blue blood dripped slowly onto the dust. "But my wives..." Ethan's eyes widened. He looked at the two women, both watching him with tears that glowed faintly. One clutched the alien's arm, the other whispered prayers in a language Ethan couldn't understand. The alien soldier's voice cracked. They are yours now, human." Ethan's heart stopped. "What? No, I don't understand," but the alien forced a smile. "You protect them. Promise me." Before Ethan could answer, the ground began to shake violently. The alien city trembled as cracks spread under their feet. A deep rumble echoed through the air. The planet was breaking apart. The dying alien grabbed Ethan's hand with surprising strength. "Promise me. You will keep them safe." I promise," Ethan said without thinking, his voice shaking. The alien released his hand, a faint smile remaining on his lips. His glowing eyes dimmed until there was nothing left but silence. The two alien women screamed. One shouted his name, the other clung to his body, crying like a storm. But there was no time to mourn. The ground split open and fire burst from below. "Run!" Ethan shouted, pulling them up. The taller of the two women, her silver hair whipping in the wind, grabbed his arm tightly. "The mountain will fall. We must go now." They ran together through the falling ruins. Stones crashed behind them, pillars shattered, and the sky filled with burning fragments. Ethan could barely see through the smoke. His helmet flashed red, oxygen levels dropping fast. A huge explosion erupted near them, throwing them to the ground. Ethan shielded the women with his body as debris rained down. When the smoke cleared, he looked up and saw his ship, just a few hundred meters away, half buried under dust. "Come on," he shouted. The shorter alien woman limped, her leg injured. Ethan lifted her into his arms without hesitation. The other followed, coughing from the smoke. They reached the ship as another blast tore through the ground. Ethan hit the door panel, and it opened with a hiss. They stumbled inside, and the hatch sealed shut behind them. The ship trembled as the world outside continued to crumble. Ethan rushed to the controls, starting the engines. The taller alien woman, her name he later learned was Sarai, grabbed his shoulder. "He said you would come," she whispered. "He said a human would save us." Ethan turned to her, shocked. "He said that?" She nodded, tears shining in her golden eyes. "He trusted only you." The engines roared. Through the glass, the city below sank into fire. The planet's crust split apart, swallowing everything in glowing cracks. Ethan pulled the lever, and the ship shot upward into the black sky. From orbit, he watched the planet's surface collapse into itself. A dying world, fading into silence. Inside the ship, the two alien women sat quietly, holding each other. Their faces were full of sorrow, but when they looked at Ethan, there was something else too, a small spark of hope. Ethan looked down at the silver ring the alien had pressed into his hand before dying. It glowed faintly with blue light. He whispered to himself, "What did you mean by, they are yours now?" The stars outside shimmered, cold and endless as the ship drifted toward the unknown. But deep inside Ethan's mind, he felt it, the beginning of something greater. A promise that would change not just his life, but the fate of two worlds. The ship shook as it tore through the burning sky. Behind them, the alien planet cracked apart like shattered glass, molten rivers swallowing mountains and cities alike. Ethan gripped the control levers tightly, his heart pounding. The two alien women sat behind him, their faces pale, eyes wide as their home turned into fire and dust. Ethan's voice came through the ship's speakers, calm but urgent. "Hold on tight. We're leaving the atmosphere." The ship's engines roared louder, fighting the planet's collapsing gravity. The hull rattled, alarms flashing red across the cockpit. One of the alien women, the taller one with silver hair and golden eyes, whispered something in her language, a quiet prayer for the dead. The other woman, smaller, with soft violet skin, just hugged her knees, tears running down her face. Then, with one final blast, the ship broke free. Silence fell, broken only by the hum of the engines. Outside, the stars stretched across the black void, calm, endless, cold. Ethan sighed with relief and switched the ship to auto-stabilize. "We made it," he whispered, but when he turned around, his chest tightened. The two women were staring at him, scared, lost, and broken. They had lost everything. Their world was gone. Ethan removed his helmet, revealing tired blue eyes and a soot-covered face. He knelt beside them. "You're safe now," he said softly. "I know you don't understand me, but I'll keep my promise." The taller one tilted her head slightly. "Promise," she repeated, her accent soft and uncertain. Ethan smiled faintly. "Yeah, promise." After a moment, the taller woman pressed a glowing hand to her chest. "Sarai," she said. Then she pointed to the smaller one. "Lyra." Ethan nodded. "Sarai and Lyra." He pointed to himself. "Ethan." "Ethan," Lyra repeated, her voice trembling but gentle. Ethan chuckled quietly. Close enough. But the moment of peace didn't last long. The ship's console beeped, a sharp warning tone. Ethan turned to see flashing red symbols on the screen. "No, no, no, no." Sarai stood beside him. "What is wrong?" Ethan frowned. "We're being tracked. Someone's following us." Sarai's eyes widened in fear. "The hunters." Before Ethan could ask, the radar lit up with multiple red dots. 3 fast-moving ships were closing in from behind. A voice echoed through the ship's comms in a harsh alien tone. Sarai stiffened. "They say, return the royal wives. They say, you stole us." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Royal?" He looked at them. "You're..." But he didn't finish. The ship rocked violently as energy blasts struck their hull. Sparks flew across the cockpit. Lyra screamed. Ethan grabbed the controls. "Hang on!" He spun the ship sharply, dodging another beam that sliced past their wing. His training as a pilot kicked in, quick reflexes, steady hands, fearless under pressure. The human ship dove toward a nearby asteroid field. "Hold. Tight!" Ethan shouted as they plunged between massive spinning rocks. Blaster fire followed, lighting up the darkness. One enemy ship exploded against a stone wall, but 2 remained. Ethan flew low, scraping close to a huge asteroid's surface. His fingers danced over the controls. "Come on, come on." He flipped a switch. A burst of energy mines deployed behind them. Seconds later, boom, the second hunter ship vanished in a flash of light. The last ship still followed. Ethan narrowed his eyes. "Persistent one, huh?" He spun the ship around suddenly, facing the enemy head-on. The alien pilot didn't expect it. Ethan fired 2 plasma cannons straight into its cockpit. The hunter ship exploded into a shower of blue fire. Silence filled the ship again, broken only by heavy breathing. Ethan leaned back, exhausted. "That's it. We're clear." Sarai walked closer, her golden eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "You saved us," she said quietly. "You fight like him." Ethan looked at her. "Like your husband?" She nodded slowly. He believed humans were special, brave, strange, kind. Ethan didn't know what to say. He just stared at the stars ahead, thinking about the dying alien's last words. "My wives are yours now." But what did that really mean? Ownership? Duty? Or something far deeper? Behind him, Lyra stood up slowly, limping slightly. She reached out and touched his shoulder. "Thank you, Ethan," she whispered. He turned, smiling gently. "You're welcome." For a few quiet moments, the three of them just watched the stars drift by. The storm was over, for now, but on the edge of the radar, faint signals still flickered. Someone else was searching for them, many ships larger and faster. Ethan sighed. "Guess peace doesn't last long out here." Sarai looked at him, eyes full of fear, but also something new, trust. "Then we fly together," she said softly. Ethan nodded. Together. As the ship glided into the endless dark, three hearts, human and alien, shared one fragile hope. They had escaped death once. But the real journey had only just begun. The stars drifted quietly outside the ship's window, like tiny sparks floating in the endless black. For the first time in hours, everything was calm. The engines purred softly, the alarms were silent, and the chaos of battle had faded behind them. Ethan sat in the pilot's chair, staring at the silver ring the dying alien had given him. It rested in his palm, glowing faintly with soft blue light. He had cleaned off the dust, but when he looked closer, he noticed something strange. The glow pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and alive. "What are you?" he whispered. Sarai and Lyra were sleeping nearby. The two alien women lay close to each other, their breathing slow, faces peaceful at last. Ethan didn't want to wake them. They had lost their home, their husband, and almost their lives. They deserved a moment of rest. But that ring, something about it wouldn't let Ethan rest. He placed it on the ship's scanner table and ran a light analysis. The screen flickered, then filled with alien symbols. Ethan frowned. The computer struggled to translate. "Encrypted file detected," it said in a robotic voice. Ethan blinked. "There's a message inside." The screen glowed brighter, and slowly words appeared, not in human language, but in a mix of alien runes and strange binary codes. Ethan's translator AI struggled, decoding bits and pieces. Then a hologram appeared, faint blue, flickering. It was him, the dying alien warrior, standing tall again in shimmering light. Ethan's heart froze. "Human," the hologram said in a calm, powerful voice. "If you are seeing this, then I am gone." Ethan leaned forward, eyes wide. "My name is Kale of the Saren Order," the voice continued. "You have taken my wives under your protection, Sarai and Lyra. You must keep them safe, for they carry what could save or destroy both our worlds." The hologram flickered again, and static filled the air. Then Kale's voice grew darker. "Our kind of the Valarium are at war, not just with other species, but with ourselves. The High Council has been corrupted. They plan to wage war on humanity soon. I once believed in peace. For that they hunted me." Ethan's blood ran cold. "A war with humans?" he whispered. Kale's image looked directly at him. "You must deliver this ring to the Free Worlds Council. Coordinates embedded in this file. Sarai and Lyra know the path. Protect them, human. If they fall, the galaxy will burn." The hologram faded to silence. Ethan sat frozen, staring at the empty air where Kale's image had been. His heartbeat echoed in his chest. A dying alien soldier trusted me with something that could change the galaxy. He looked down at the ring again. It pulsed once, as if responding to his thoughts. Behind him, Sarai stirred. "Ethan?" He turned quickly. "You're awake." Her golden eyes blinked slowly. We saw the message. You knew?" She nodded sadly. "Kale recorded it. Before he left to fight, he told me a human would come. He said humans carry a fire that never dies. Ethan frowned. He said your council wants war. Why? Humans have barely met your kind. Sarai's voice trembled. Power fear. They believe humans are spreading too fast, too strong. Some think if you are not controlled, you will rule the stars. Ethan sighed. We barely survived our own wars. We don't want to rule anyone. Lyra woke next, rubbing her eyes. What's happening? Sarai touched her sister-wife's hand. The message has awakened. Coyle's final command has begun. Lyra looked at Ethan nervously. So now we must go to the council? Yes, Sarai said. The Free World's Council. The last who still believe in peace. Ethan leaned back, thinking fast. Those coordinates Cale mentioned. They're on the outer rim. That's 3 sectors through hostile space. You two realize we'll be hunted again. Sarai met his eyes without fear. Then we fight again. For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Then Ethan smiled faintly. You really were married to a warrior. Sarai gave a small smile back. Now we follow one. Ethan blinked, surprised. I'm no warrior. She stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his chest. You fought for us. You saved us. That is more than any weapon. Lyra nodded. You are brave like him. Ethan turned back to the window, watching distant stars shimmer like eyes in the dark. The ring glowed on the table behind him, brighter now as if aware of their decision. He whispered, Then we find this council. We finish what he started. But just as he reached for the navigation controls, a warning flashed across the console. Incoming transmission. Unknown source. Static filled the cabin. A cold mechanical voice spoke. Human vessel, you carry fugitives of the Vailari Empire. Surrender them now or be destroyed. Sarai froze. They found us. Ethan's jaw clenched. Then we run. He slammed the throttle forward. The engines roared to life. Stars stretched into long lines as the ship jumped into hyperspace. Behind them, warships appeared out of the void. Too late to catch them, but not too late to begin the hunt. And as the light swallowed their ship, Ethan knew the promise he made to a dying alien had just become something far bigger, something that could decide the fate of 2 worlds. The ship burst out of hyperspace into a quiet region of space, filled with distant red stars and drifting clouds of gas. The view was peaceful, almost beautiful, but Ethan knew peace never lasted long. He switched the ship's systems to stealth mode and scanned the area. No signals. No pursuers. For now. Sarai and Lyra stood beside him, their faces lit by the soft blue glow of the control panels. They looked calmer, but the sadness in their eyes never left. Their world was gone, their husband dead, and now they were fugitives. Ethan leaned back in his chair, exhaling slowly. We can rest for a while, he said, but we can't stay too long. Those ships back there, they'll find our trail again. Sarai nodded quietly. The Vailari Empire never stops. Once they mark you, they chase until you are dust. Lyra hugged her knees on the floor, her voice trembling. Kyle said he would end the war. Now he is gone. Maybe his hope dies with him. Ethan turned to her gently. Maybe not. Hope doesn't die that easy. Sarai watched him carefully. You speak like Cale once did. He always believed one act of courage can change 1,000 fates. Ethan smiled faintly. Then maybe he was right. For a few quiet minutes, the ship floated through the calm of space. Ethan opened a ration pack and offered it to them. Lyra hesitated, then took a bite, making a small face at the taste. Ethan laughed softly. Yeah, human food isn't great. She smiled for the first time since he met her. Too dry, she said in broken English. Sarai's lips curved slightly. But it keeps us alive. Ethan was about to reply when the radar beeped again, softly, but sharp enough to make his chest tighten. He looked at the screen. No, not again. 3 red signals appeared behind them, closing fast. Sarai's eyes widened. Empire ships? Ethan nodded grimly. And they're faster this time. He jumped into the pilot's seat. Hang on! The engines roared, pushing them forward at full power. The ship dove through an asteroid cluster, weaving between giant rocks that floated like sleeping beasts. Energy blasts streaked past, lighting up the darkness. Lyra gripped the seat tightly. They won't stop. I noticed! Ethan shouted, spinning the ship sharply. A blast skimmed the wing, rocking them violently. Alarms screamed through the cabin. Sarai grabbed the weapon controls. Let me help. Ethan blinked. You know how to shoot? Her eyes flared gold. I was Kale's battlemate. Show me the trigger. Ethan grinned despite the danger. Now that's what I like to hear. He pointed at the targeting panel. Red button for plasma cannons. Keep them off our tail. Sarai nodded firmly. Understood. As Ethan steered, Sarai fired. Blue fire streaked from the ship's cannons, blasting one of the enemy ships apart. The explosion lit up the asteroid field. The other two tightened formation, firing back furiously. Ethan dove low, engines screaming. You're a natural, he said. Sarai smirked. I told you, battlemate. Lyra crawled to the sensor panel. One more coming. From above. Ethan looked up through the canopy. A massive ship descending from the clouds of dust, far larger than the others. His stomach dropped. That's a destroyer. They brought a capital ship. The destroyer fired a heavy beam that sliced through the asteroid beside them. Shards of rock and fire scattered everywhere. We can't fight that. Lyra cried. Ethan's eyes darted over the controls. No, but we can trick it. He slammed a switch, turning off the ship's lights and power. The engines died and the ship went dark. Lyra gasped. We're dead. Not yet, Ethan smirked. We're drifting. The asteroid's magnetic field will hide us, and if they don't get too close. The destroyer scanned the area, its bright search beams cutting through the dust. The small ship floated silently in the asteroid's shadow, hidden like a ghost. Sarai held her breath. If they find us, Ethan whispered, they won't. Minutes passed. The destroyer's lights drifted away. The radar cleared. Only silence remained. Ethan exhaled deeply and restarted the engines, keeping them at minimum power. We're safe. For now. Lyra fell back against the wall, shaking. I thought we would die. Ethan looked at her softly. I promised I'd keep you safe. I meant it. Sarai studied him closely, her golden eyes glowing faintly. You risk your life for people you barely know. Why? Ethan hesitated, then said quietly, because someone once did the same for me, and I never got the chance to thank them. For a moment, none of them spoke. The hum of the engines filled the silence like a heartbeat. Sarai's gaze softened. You carry sorrow, she said gently, but also fire. Ethan smiled sadly. Maybe both keep me going. As the ship drifted toward a distant nebula, a faint light shimmered on the ring still glowing on the dashboard. It pulsed once, stronger than before. Lyra pointed at it. It reacts when we're in danger. Ethan frowned. Or when we're being watched. He stared out into the dark, feeling the weight of unseen eyes somewhere far away, and knew this wasn't over. The Empire was closing in, and the real battle hadn't even begun yet. The ship drifted silently near the edge of a glowing nebula. Red and purple clouds swirled outside like living fire. Inside, the lights were dim, the air heavy with exhaustion. The battle was over, but tension still lingered like a ghost. Ethan sat alone in the cockpit, staring at the small silver ring resting on the console. It pulsed faintly with blue light, slow and steady like a heartbeat. He turned it in his fingers, watching the light dance. Each time it glowed, it reminded him of Kale's voice. My wives are yours now, human. But now, after all that had happened, those words no longer sounded like a gift. They felt like a mystery. Behind him, Sarai and Lyra entered quietly. They were no longer wearing the armor they had escaped in. Sarai's long silver hair shimmered softly in the low light, while Lyra's violet skin glowed faintly under the ship's dim lamps. They looked less like warriors and more like survivors. Sarai stepped forward. You are still staring at it? Ethan nodded. It doesn't make sense. Why would Kale say that? Why give me his wives? He didn't even know me. Sarai's golden eyes softened. He knew more than you think. Ethan looked up. What do you mean? Lyra sat beside him, her voice trembling. Kale was not only a soldier. He was part of the old Council of Peace, the secret one. Before the Empire fell to greed and war, he tried to stop them. Sarai added quietly. He believed that one day humanity would rise beyond violence, that humans would be the bridge between our worlds. But when he said you would come, we laughed. No one believed a human could cross our dead planet. Ethan's brow furrowed. So, you think he meant to give you both as some kind of peace mission? Sarai shook her head slowly. No. He gave us to you because we carry something far more important than ourselves. She reached into her cloak and revealed a small crystal cube, glowing faintly blue like the ring. Inside this is the seed of harmony. It contains genetic and cultural code from both our species, a link that could heal the rift between Vailari and humans. Kyle hid it within us, and only his ring can unlock it. Ethan stared in disbelief. So this isn't just about protecting you two. This could save millions. Sarai nodded. But only if it reaches the Free Worlds Council. If the Empire gets it first, they will twist it into a weapon. Ethan's eyes darkened. Then we can't let that happen. He stood, determination returning to his face. We'll find that council. I'll get you there, no matter what it takes. Lyra smiled weakly. Even if it costs your life? Ethan looked at her firmly. If that's the price of keeping a promise, then yes. For a moment, silence filled the cockpit. Only the hum of the ship's engines could be heard. Then Sarai stepped closer, her expression soft but intense. You remind me of Kale, she said quietly. He would have liked you. Ethan smiled sadly. I wish I'd met him sooner. Sarai hesitated, then asked, Do humans believe in fate? Ethan chuckled. Some do. I used to think fate was a story people told themselves when life didn't make sense. Now, I'm not so sure. Sarai's lips curved faintly. Maybe fate brought you to us. Before Ethan could respond, the ship jolted violently. Warning lights flashed red. Lyra screamed, We're caught in a gravity trap. Ethan ran to the controls. No, it's not natural, it's a tractor. Beam! On the radar, a massive shape appeared behind them. A dark, jagged warship emerging from the nebula, its red lights burning like eyes. Sarai's voice trembled. That's the Dread Sovereign, the Empire's hunter ship. Ethan's heart raced. How did they find us this fast? Lyra looked at the glowing cube in her hands. It's the seed. It gives off energy. They can track it. Ethan cursed under his breath. So we're carrying a beacon. The ship shook again, pulled backward toward the monstrous vessel. Metal groaned under the strain. Sparks burst from the control panels. Sarai grabbed his arm. Ethan, we cannot be captured. They will tear us apart to get it. I know. His voice was calm but firm. There's one chance. He slammed a switch, redirecting all power to the engines. The small ship trembled, engines roaring louder than ever before. The tractor beam resisted, glowing red, pulling harder. Lyra held on to her sister wife. Ethan, the ship will break. Better broken than in their hands, he shouted. The controls sparked, alarms screamed, and with one final burst, the ship tore free of the beam, spinning violently before stabilizing. The Dread Sovereign disappeared behind a wall of plasma clouds. Ethan slumped back, breathing hard. We made it. Sarai stared at him, awe in her eyes. You risked everything. He gave a tired smile. A promise is a promise. Outside the window, the nebula glowed brighter, as if watching them. The seed and the ring pulsed together for the first time, glowing in harmony. Lyra whispered, It's reacting to you. Ethan looked at the light and said quietly, Maybe because it knows. I won't stop until I finish what Kale started. But deep inside him, he could feel it. Something had changed. The gift Kale had given him was no longer just protection or duty. It was trust. It was destiny. And it was only the beginning of the truth that would soon shake both worlds. The ship floated in silence after the escape. Systems flickered weakly, smoke rose from burnt panels and sparks crackled along the walls. Ethan wiped the sweat and soot from his face, his heartbeat still pounding in his ears. The engines were failing, but at least they were alive. Outside, the nebula glowed red and gold, swirling like a storm of fire. It was beautiful and deadly. Inside, the air was tense. Sarai and Lyra sat near the back, their eyes wide with fear. The glowing cube, the seed of harmony, lay on the table between them, pulsing like a living heart. Ethan checked the monitors. We can't keep running, he muttered. The engines are near dead and we're still being tracked. We need to stop somewhere. Anywhere. Sarai stepped closer. There is an abandoned moon ahead. Kyle once used it as a hiding place. Ethan looked up. Then that's where we'll make our stand. He entered the coordinates, and the ship drifted toward a gray, crater-filled moon on the edge of the nebula. As they descended, lightning flashed through the colored clouds, lighting up the hull. The ship landed roughly, kicking up clouds of dust. The landing gear groaned, but held. Ethan shut down the engines, then stood up slowly. "All right," he said. "We need repairs, and we need a plan." Lyra's voice trembled. "You think they will come again?" Ethan gave a small smile that didn't reach his eyes. "They always do." He opened a hidden compartment under the floor and pulled out a heavy rifle and 2 pulse pistols. "If they find us, we fight," Sarai frowned. "You cannot face the Empire alone." Ethan met her gaze. "I'm not alone." Something passed between them, a moment of understanding. Then Sarai nodded firmly. "Then we fight beside you." For hours they worked together, setting up traps and barriers around the ship. Ethan taught Lyra how to activate the defense grid, while Sarai helped him fix the power lines. They moved fast, knowing time was short. When the work was done, Ethan stood outside the ship looking at the horizon. The nebula cast strange colors across the barren land, red, blue, gold, all blending like fire and ice. Sarai joined him quietly. "You could still run," she said softly. "You could leave us and save yourself." Ethan shook his head. "I made a promise to Kale, and to both of you." She looked at him for a long moment, her golden eyes full of something more than respect. "You honor him," she said. "But you also remind me of what I thought humans could never be." Ethan smiled faintly. "Unpredictable?" Sarai gave a small laugh. "Brave." Before he could reply, the radar beeped inside the ship. Lyra's voice shouted through the comms. "They found us. Multiple ships incoming." Ethan grabbed his rifle. "Here we go." He ran back inside, checking the scanners. 5 small fighter crafts and 1 large destroyer, the same kind that nearly captured them before. The Dread Sovereign. Sarai's jaw tightened. "They will send ground troops." Ethan nodded. "Good. Then they're coming to us." He activated the outer defenses. Turrets rose from the sand around the ship, their lights glowing red. The engines of the enemy crafts echoed in the distance like thunder. The first drop pods hit the ground, sending waves of dust into the air. Dark figures in armor marched toward the ship, their weapons gleaming. Ethan took a deep breath. "Let's give them a warm welcome." The first shot rang out. Plasma bolts lit the darkness as the turrets opened fire. Explosions rocked the surface, shaking the ground. Ethan fired from cover, picking off the soldiers one by one. Sarai fought beside him with precise aim, her movements fast and graceful. Lyra stayed inside, using the controls to power the shields and fire support weapons. "Left side breached," she called out. Ethan turned, firing at the intruders who tried to flank them. His rifle burned hot in his hands, but he didn't stop. The air was filled with smoke, fire, and shouts. A plasma grenade exploded nearby, throwing him backward. His armor took most of the blast, but pain shot through his chest. Sarai ran to him, dragging him behind cover. "Ethan!" He coughed, blood on his lip, but he grinned weakly. "Still alive." Sarai pressed a hand to his shoulder. "You can't fight like this." He looked up at her with fire in his eyes. "Watch me." More soldiers approached. Ethan stood again, ignoring the pain. He fired until his weapon overheated, then grabbed a sidearm and kept shooting. He was outnumbered, outgunned, but he refused to fall. Finally, a huge blast hit the shield generator, destroying it. The defenses collapsed. The last of the turrets went silent. The Empire's commander stepped forward, his black armor glowing with red lines. "Surrender, human. You cannot protect them." Ethan raised his rifle one last time. "Try me." The commander fired, but before the shot hit, a blinding blue light erupted from the seed inside the ship. The ring on Ethan's hand glowed in response. The energy spread like a wave, knocking the soldiers back. Sarai and Lyra stared in shock as the glow surrounded Ethan, healing his wounds, filling the air with warmth. The commander screamed and vanished in the burst of light. When the light faded, the battlefield was silent. The Empire's troops were gone. Ethan stood still, breathing heavily. Sarai walked to him, tears in her eyes. What was that? Ethan looked at the glowing ring. Kale's gift, he whispered. It wasn't power. It was protection. Lyra stepped outside, looking at the stars. Then maybe? The war isn't lost yet, Ethan smiled faintly. Not while we're still standing. Above them, the nebula shimmered brighter, as if the universe itself had witnessed the humans stand and decided his fight was worth remembering. The battlefield was quiet now. The dust had settled, the smoke had faded, and only the faint hum of the ship broke the silence. The crimson glow of the nebula spread across the moon's cracked surface like a sunrise after a long night. Ethan stood alone among the ruins of the fight, his armor scorched and cracked. The blue light from the ring had dimmed, but he could still feel its warmth pulsing faintly through his hand, like a heartbeat that wasn't his own. Sarai and Lyra approached slowly, stepping over the shattered remains of enemy armor. They looked exhausted but alive. Their eyes glowed softly in the dim light, reflecting both sorrow and relief. Lyra was the first to speak, her voice trembling. It's over. Ethan nodded weakly. For now. Sarai looked around the silent wasteland. You drove away the Empire's forces alone. That energy, it came from the seed, didn't it? Ethan turned his hand, staring at the faintly glowing ring. The seed reacted through Kale's ring. He must have known this would happen. He left it, not as a weapon, but as a bond between us. Sarai's expression softened. He trusted you more than anyone. And now I understand why. Ethan gave a small smile. He believed in peace. Maybe now we can finish what he started. The three of them returned to the ship. It was damaged, but still operational. Inside, the lights flickered weakly, and the seed of harmony glowed in the center of the table, brighter than ever before. Ethan placed the ring beside it. The two lights pulsed in rhythm like two hearts beating as one. Sarai stepped closer. It's ready, she said softly. Kale's final code is complete. The seed has accepted you. Ethan frowned. Accepted me? Lyra nodded. It chose you as the bridge between our species. The seed carries memories, DNA, and consciousness of both human and Vailari. It will send a message across the stars, and one that can end the war. Ethan stared at it in awe. You mean, it can reach the Free Worlds Council? Yes, Sarai said. It will transmit peace, not battle orders. But only if you activate it. Ethan hesitated. And what happens if I do? Sarai's golden eyes lowered. When it connects, the seed will need your energy, your life force, and to power the transmission. Ethan's breath caught. You're saying? I won't survive. Lyra stepped forward quickly. No, there must be another way. But Sarai shook her head. Kale designed it that way. Only a human spirit could awaken it. He believed humanity's will to protect others was the purest force in the galaxy. Ethan stood silent, staring at the glowing seed. His mind raced. He had fought, bled, and risked everything. And now he was being asked to give up his life to finish the mission. Lyra clutched his arm, tears shining in her violet eyes. Please, there must be another way. Ethan placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Hey, it's okay. She shook her head, crying harder. No, it's not. You saved us. You gave us hope. We can't lose you too. Sarai looked at him, her voice breaking. Kale trusted you with what he loved most, us. If you do this, you'll be part of that love forever. Ethan looked between them, his chest tightening. He thought about Kale's dying face, the promise he'd made, the battles he'd fought, and the look in these two women's eyes, the same look that once belonged to Kale himself. He smiled softly. Then I'll keep my promise to him, and to both of you. He reached out and touched the seed. It glowed brighter, the light spreading through the room, wrapping around him like water. Sarai and Lyra gasped as the light lifted him gently off the floor. His voice echoed softly, calm and steady. Tell them. Humanity never wanted war. Tell them we came to protect, not to rule. The light grew stronger, filling the ship with warmth. The seed released a wave of energy that spread far beyond the moon, into the nebula, across the stars, carrying Kale's dream and Ethan's sacrifice. Then, the light faded. When Sarai and Lyra opened their eyes, Ethan was gone. The seed rested quietly, no longer glowing. The ring lay beside it, cold and still. Lyra fell to her knees, tears flowing freely. Sarai knelt beside her, wrapping her arms around her sister-wife. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the hum of the ship and the echo of what had been remained. Then the console beeped softly, a transmission alert. Sarai looked up. A holographic message appeared on the screen. It was from the Free Worlds Council. Message received, the voice said. Peace code verified. The war will cease immediately. Humanity and Valari will begin unity talks. The one who sent this will be remembered. Sarai's lips trembled. He did it. Lyra wiped her tears. Whispering, he kept his promise. Outside, the nebula glowed brighter, its colors shifting into soft gold, like the dawn of a new world. Days later, Sarai and Lyra buried Ethan's ring beneath a stone monument on the moon, marking it with Kale's symbol, two worlds joined by one line of light. Sarai spoke quietly, her voice carried by the wind. You were not born among our stars, yet you became our hope. Rest, Ethan Cole. Your promise lives on. Lyra added softly. You were more than human. You were the bridge. As they stood together, the seed reactivated for a moment, sending one final pulse into the sky, a silent farewell. And across the galaxy, as peace began to spread, legends would rise, of a human who stood alone between two dying worlds and turned death into harmony. A story told in whispers, across stars, of the one who kept a dying alien's promise and changed the fate of all creation.